The unexpected envoy. The crystalline spires of the Kelderan Research Complex rose like frozen lightning against the pale lavender sky. Dr. Zara Novak stood motionless, her breath creating tiny frost patterns on her environmental suit's visor. 20 years of xenobiological research had prepared her for this moment, yet nothing could truly prepare her for first contact with a species that had systematically avoided human interaction for decades. Zara's fingers traced the delicate sensor array on her wrist, calibrating the quantum translation device she had spent years developing. Unlike traditional translation technologies that relied on linguistic algorithms, her system was revolutionary. It mapped neural patterns, capturing not just words, but the intricate emotional and conceptual nuances that often got lost in translation. The Kelderan reception chamber was a marvel of organic architecture. Walls that seemed to breathe, surfaces that shifted and rippled like living membranes, creating an environment that was simultaneously alien and mesmerizing. 3 Kelderan administrators sat, or perhaps existed was a more accurate term, in what appeared to be fluid-like containment pods that undulated with their biochemical rhythms. Chief Administrator Ziran, a being composed of what looked like interconnected crystalline neural networks, regarded Zara with what she interpreted as cautious curiosity. Their species communicated through complex quantum entanglement, making traditional verbal or written communication nearly impossible for most species to comprehend. "You are an anomaly," Ziran's thoughts resonated directly in Zara's mind, a sensation that felt like cold electricity dancing along her synapses. Humans have been deemed insufficient for meaningful interaction. Zara remained calm, her years of research and psychological training allowing her to maintain composure. She activated her translation device, a small sphere that hovered near her shoulder, its surface shimmering with intricate holographic patterns. "Insufficiency is a matter of perspective," Zara responded, her voice steady. "Our differences do not negate our potential for understanding." The chamber's ambient temperature seemed to drop several degrees. The other 2 Kelderan administrators, Lyra and Voss, shifted within their fluid pods, their crystalline structures refracting light in complex, mesmerizing patterns. Ziran's neural networks pulsed with what might have been amusement or contempt. "Humans are linear thinkers. Your technology is rudimentary. Your biological constraints limit your comprehension of quantum existence." Zara had anticipated this response. She knew that challenging their preconceptions required more than words, it required demonstration. Slowly, deliberately, she began to manipulate her quantum translation device. "Linear thinking is an oversimplification," she said. "Creativity transcends linear constraints. Would you be interested in a demonstration?" The chamber grew silent. Even the living walls seemed to pause, waiting. The quantum translation device began to pulse, its holographic surface expanding and contracting in complex geometric patterns that seemed to defy traditional dimensional understanding. Zara was translating not just language, but conceptual frameworks, bridging the gap between human imagination and Kelderan quantum consciousness. Ziran's neural networks flickered with unexpected intensity. For the first time, a hint of genuine curiosity emerged. "Explain," the chief administrator demanded. Zara smiled. Her journey to prove humanity's worth had only just begun. Echoes of resilience. The history of human determination was etched into Zara Novak's very being. Her journey to the Kelderan Research Complex was not just a diplomatic mission, but a testament to generations of human perseverance and scientific innovation. Born in the reconstructed cities of the North American Coastal Restoration Zone, Zara had witnessed humanity's capacity for adaptation firsthand. Her parents were environmental engineers who had spent their lives transforming devastated landscapes into thriving ecosystems. From them, she learned that limitations were merely challenges waiting to be overcome. Her quantum translation research began as a personal mission after a catastrophic communication failure during an earlier interspecies expedition. A promising first contact with the methane-breathing Talari civilization had collapsed due to fundamental misunderstandings, resulting in a diplomatic disaster that haunted the Interstellar Cooperation Bureau for years. Humans are not just survivors, her mentor, Dr. Rodrigo Santana, had once told her. We are translators of the impossible. Inside the Kelderan reception chamber, Zara's demonstration continued. The quantum translation device now projected intricate holographic representations of complex scientific concepts, weaving together mathematical principles, biological adaptations, and philosophical constructs in a way that transcended traditional communication barriers. Xeron's neural networks began to pulse with a different rhythm. The initial contempt was giving way to something more nuanced, a grudging respect. Your method of translation, Xeron's thought patterns resonated, suggests capabilities beyond our initial assessment. Lyra, one of the other administrators, extended a crystalline tendril towards the holographic projection. The device responded, shifting its patterns to create an even more intricate display of interconnected knowledge. Zara knew this was more than just a diplomatic encounter. It was a battle of perception, a chance to challenge the Kelderans' deeply ingrained beliefs about humanity's potential. We don't just see the universe as it is, Zara explained, her voice calm and measured. We see it as it could be. Potential is our most powerful resource. The chamber's ambient temperature began to shift, the living walls responding to the complex neural interactions. Voss, the third administrator, who had remained silent until now, suddenly projected a series of quantum mathematical equations that intertwined with Zara's holographic display. A challenge. A test. Without hesitation, Zara began to manipulate the equations, demonstrating not just an understanding of the complex quantum mathematics, but an ability to extrapolate and expand upon them in ways the Kelderans had not anticipated. Impossible, Lyra's thought pattern flickered with what could only be described as excitement. Xeron's neural networks pulsed with increasing complexity. The initial dismissal was crumbling, replaced by a growing curiosity about this human who seemed to defy every preconceived notion. You propose a different kind of intelligence, Xeron stated, no longer a dismissal but an observation. I propose a collaborative intelligence, Zara corrected. One where different perspectives don't compete, but complement each other. The chamber grew silent. The living walls seemed to hold their breath, waiting for a response that could change the course of interspecies relations forever. In that moment, Zara understood that her mission was about more than just communication. It was about challenging the very foundations of how intelligent species perceived each other. The quantum translation device continued to pulse, a beacon of potential, a bridge between worlds. The quantum breakthrough. The research facility hummed with an electric anticipation that seemed to vibrate through every molecular structure of the Kelderan complex. Days had transformed into weeks of intense collaboration, with Zara Novak working alongside the alien administrators in a delicate dance of scientific exploration. Xeron had gradually shifted from skeptical observer to reluctant collaborator. The quantum translation device had become more than just a communication tool, it was now a living bridge between two radically different forms of intelligence. Your approach defies our computational models, Lyra observed one solar cycle into their intensive research. The crystalline administrator's neural networks pulsed with a complexity that suggested both frustration and profound respect. Zara's workspace was a chaotic symphony of holographic projections, quantum algorithms, and biological interface designs. Scattered around her were personal mementos, a weathered photograph of her parents rebuilding coastal ecosystems, a small fragment of reclaimed Earth from the North American Restoration Zone, a simple quantum processor chip that represented decades of human technological evolution. Defiance is just innovation waiting to be understood, Zara responded, her fingers dancing across a holographic interface that seemed to breathe and shift with her touch. The breakthrough came unexpectedly. During a routine calibration of the quantum translation matrix, Zara discovered a fundamental principle that would revolutionize interspecies communication. By mapping the quantum entanglement patterns of neural networks across different biological systems, she created a universal translation algorithm that could bridge seemingly incompatible forms of consciousness. Voss, the most reserved of the Kelderan administrators, projected a series of complex equations that challenged the very foundation of Zara's discovery. But instead of competition, they found collaboration. Your species possesses a remarkable ability to find connections where others see only differences, Ziran commented, their neural networks displaying what could only be interpreted as a form of intellectual excitement. The implications were staggering. The quantum breakthrough wasn't just a communication tool, it was a potential key to understanding consciousness itself. Zara's algorithm could translate not just languages, but entire conceptual frameworks, bridging gaps between species that had previously been considered unbridgeable. A warning signal interrupted their work. External sensors detected an anomalous energy signature approaching the Kelderan research complex. The living walls of the facility began to pulse with a defensive rhythm, molecular structures preparing for potential conflict. Incoming unidentified quantum signature, the facility's AI announced, its voice a blend of mechanical precision and organic resonance. Zara's training kicked in. Years of xenobiological research had prepared her for unexpected encounters. She moved with a calm precision that impressed the Kelderan administrators. Not a threat, she said, analyzing the quantum signature. An opportunity. The energy signature was unlike anything the Kelderans had encountered. It carried markers of an intelligence that existed between traditional dimensional boundaries, a form of existence that challenged everything they understood about consciousness and communication. Ziran's neural networks began to pulse with an intensity that suggested both fear and fascination. You understand this? The administrator's thought patterns resonated. Zara smiled. I understand that the universe is more complex than any single species can comprehend alone. The quantum translation device continued to pulse, a beacon of potential, bridging worlds that had previously been separated by seemingly insurmountable differences. As the mysterious quantum signature drew closer, Zara knew they stood at the precipice of a discovery that could change everything. Crucible of understanding. The quantum signature intensified, transforming the research complex into a maelstrom of energy and possibility. Zara's quantum translation device began to oscillate wildly, its holographic projections creating intricate patterns that seemed to breathe with living intelligence. Incoming quantum entity detected, the facility's AI announced, its voice a blend of clinical precision and barely contained excitement. The Kelderan administrators, Ziran, Lyra, and Voss, moved with a synchronicity that defied traditional understanding of individual movement. Their crystalline neural networks intertwined, creating a collective consciousness that responded to the approaching phenomenon. Zara stood at the center of the chamber, her environmental suit systems working overtime to compensate for the rapidly changing quantum environment. Years of training had prepared her for the unexpected, but this was beyond anything in her extensive research archives. The quantum entity began to take shape, not a physical form in the traditional sense, but a complex web of energy and information that seemed to exist simultaneously in multiple dimensional states. It was a living concept, a consciousness that transcended biological limitations. Communication attempt detected, the AI reported. Zara activated her translation device, pushing its capabilities to their absolute limit. The device responded, its holographic surface transforming into a complex mandala of light and information. We are the confluent, a voice, if it could be called a voice, resonated through the chamber. It was less a sound and more a direct neural imprint, a communication that bypassed traditional sensory mechanisms. The Kelderan administrators recoiled. Their entire civilization had built complex defensive mechanisms against unknown quantum entities. But Zara saw something different, an opportunity for understanding. Why are you here? She asked, her voice steady. The confluence response was a cascade of information, a compressed history of a civilization that existed between quantum states, observing but never directly interacting with linear dimensional beings. Potential, the entity responded. Humanity. Unique. Ziran's neural networks pulsed with a mixture of fear and fascination. The Kelderan administrators had spent centuries avoiding direct contact with unknown quantum entities, building elaborate defensive systems to protect themselves. But Zara saw a different path. We can help each other, she said, manipulating the quantum translation device to create a bridge of understanding. The chamber began to transform. The living walls responded to the quantum interaction, creating a dynamic environment that shifted and adapted with each moment of communication. The confluence energy signature began to stabilize. Through Zara's translation device, a clearer picture emerged. They were not a threat, but observers, a collective consciousness that had been studying various species, searching for those with the potential for true quantum understanding. Humanity intrigues us, the confluent communicated. Adaptability. Creativity. Potential for transformation. Zara understood the profound nature of this moment. This was more than first contact, it was a validation of human potential, a recognition that their greatest strength lay not in technological superiority, but in their capacity for understanding and adaptation. The Keldaran administrators watched in silent amazement. Xeron's neural networks pulsed with a complexity that suggested a fundamental shift in their understanding of intelligence and existence. Your device, Lyra's thought pattern resonated, it is more than a translation tool. It is a bridge. As the quantum interaction continued, Zara knew they stood at the threshold of a discovery that could reshape understanding of consciousness itself. The crucible of understanding was heating up, and humanity had just been recognized as a unique and valuable participant in a much larger cosmic dialogue. Convergence. The quantum interaction reached its crescendo, transforming the Keldaran research complex into a living tapestry of potential and possibility. Zara Novak stood at the epicenter, her quantum translation device now functioning as more than just a communication tool, it had become a bridge between realities. The confluence presence continued to pulse through the chamber, its quantum energy intertwining with the living walls of the facility. Xeron, Lyra, and Voss, the Keldaran administrators who had initially dismissed humanity as an inconsequential species, now watched with a mixture of awe and anticipation. Your species possesses a remarkable capacity for transformation, the confluent communicated, its message a complex neural imprint that transcended traditional language. Most civilizations calcify. Yours adapts. Zara understood the profound nature of this moment. Humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to reimagine itself, to find potential in the most challenging circumstances. From the environmental restoration projects that had saved Earth to the quantum communication breakthrough she now represented, humans had consistently defied expectations. The research complex began to resonate with a new energy. The living walls seemed to breathe with possibility, molecular structures shifting and adapting to the quantum interactions. We propose a collaborative research initiative, the confluent continued. Its communication was no longer just a transmission but a complex web of potential interactions, scientific possibilities that stretched beyond current understanding. Xeron's neural networks pulsed with a complexity that suggested a fundamental shift in their perspective. The Keldaran administrators had spent centuries avoiding direct contact with unknown quantum entities, but Zara had transformed that approach in a matter of weeks. Our understanding is limited, Lyra's thought pattern resonated, a rare admission of vulnerability from a species that prided itself on scientific superiority. The quantum translation device continued to evolve, its holographic projections creating intricate patterns that mapped potential scientific collaborations, technological exchanges, and conceptual bridges between different forms of intelligence. Zara knew this was more than a diplomatic breakthrough. It was a moment that could reshape humanity's place in the cosmic ecosystem. The confluent began to share glimpses of potential futures, quantum pathways that revealed humanity's unique position in the universe. They were not the most technologically advanced species, nor the most physically powerful. But they possessed something rare and valuable, an unparalleled capacity for empathy, adaptation, and collective problem-solving. Your species sees potential where others see limitations, the confluent communicated. This is your greatest strength. As the interaction reached its final stages, Zara understood the true significance of her mission. It was never about proving humanity's superiority, but about demonstrating the power of collaborative intelligence. The Kelderan administrators began to interface directly with the quantum translation device. Centuries of isolation were breaking down, replaced by a new understanding of interspecies collaboration. We will need to reimagine everything, Voss's thought pattern resonated, a statement of both challenge and excitement. Outside the research complex, the pale lavender sky of the alien world seemed to shimmer with new possibilities. Humanity had just taken its first true step into a larger, more complex universe. As the quantum interaction began to stabilize, Zara allowed herself a small smile. This was more than a scientific breakthrough. This was a testament to human potential, a demonstration that true progress comes from understanding, not conquest. The bridge between worlds was open. And the journey was just beginning.